I ain't gonna start, y'all.
Timing is everything. Like, nigga, this it.
We're finna come on up.
That ain't easy. Stay motivated. Stay inspired. I owe it to myself. Stay down on it. And it ain't been hard throughout the journey. It's been a journey. Hello, my niggas. Hello, my niggas. Please keep it mellow, my niggas. Stop sipping yellow, my niggas. You itching and twitching and glitching, my nigga. Listen, my nigga.
Peace, G. What's going on with you today? You can hear me? Hello? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I had to bring you on stage. What's good with you?
Yeah, not much, blood.
Hey, check this out. This Next Gen and Beyond, the next level. Tonight, we bring it to the stage about we dealing with situations in our community, which is circled around the growth of technology. How do you feel about the elevation of technology in the low income areas?
Well, some of it can help them, and some of it can hurt them. Reason why I'm saying if they don't have the proper knowledge and they try to do it on their own, that's gonna hurt them. You gotta find mentors and stuff to help them really understand it. Some people just getting on it and just running with it and not really understanding it.
Yeah, that's a big thing with artificial intelligence. That one of the tech news today is AI. It has came into existence, and this artificial intelligence, this is changing the world by the seconds. We must work together to understand and develop our own form of technology so that we can educate the do's and don'ts with technology and helping everybody understand what data is. This is what's really important when it comes to technology. I'm gonna leave a link in the bio once we get on through, because technology could elevate a business overnight. So one of the main alternatives with technology is not really reaching the rural areas. When we look at the ratio of technology, the devices are limited, because when you look at desktop computers, they limited in households that's in the rural areas. That's why Microsoft and Google donate so much software down to the social organizations to get it into the rural areas. And we come from these areas, so we know that it could be difficult to get somebody to a building sometime. So what would your take be on how could we educate with technology?
Well, we can't get to the laptops or nothing like that. They got all these old cell phones stuff that still work on the network. And instead of like Apple, what they do is they ask people to bring in their phones so they can refurbish them, upgrade them, then turn around and sell them back to you like a 15 with a new look, almost like what Jordan do with his sneakers. So if we take these old phones and stuff and then apply them correctly, that will help, because you got more cell phones laying around than you do laptops and iPads.
Right. You got a good, that's a good solution. And my organization has fought, and we're collaborating with the Board of Education in many towns in Georgia, and we are collecting laptops that there are those think books that they had actually been using inside of schools. So we figuring out ways to get the actual devices, but getting it out to the people and knowing the directions to hand these laptops, and that to ensure that people are gonna actually come onto these links that we send out weekly, because it will educate you with technology, and we all can learn and condition ourselves with the growth of technology, because us collectively are more stronger than individualized.
Yeah. But also with the technology, if you want to get it out like that, you got to make sure it apply to your life, because you got to have something that they can relate to. If they can't relate to your story and make it part of their story, then they ain't gonna listen. A lot of folks want to feel your pain or have a voice talking for them.
But you must be looking at my paper, because now give me 1 second. I'm gonna recite, because you almost had read what was on my paper. Beginning with an easy to use technology plug-in or device, this will help you get comfortable with technology and build the person up with confidence. Using the right technology, choosing the technology that is best suited for the need and goals. For example, if you want to improve your productivity, consider using automatic tools. Uh, incorporated automatic tools, incorporate automatic tools can help you save time, increase your productivity. For instance, you can use schedule apps to manage your time more efficiently. Managing password efficiently manage is critical for online security. Using a password manager to store your password securely and avoid using the same password for multiple accounts. Only using technology where you need help the most. Don't try to use every technology that comes out instead of focusing on the one that can help you achieve your goals. Use Chrome is extended and can help you customize your browsing experiencing and make it more efficient. Organizing your time with a calendar app can help you keep track of your schedule and stay focused. To take advantage of free applications, these are many applications available that can help you become more productive and efficient. Use less technology, although sometimes the best way to use technology efficiently is to use less often, because you're going to overwhelm yourself. And one of the things about technology is this: it's a lot of free applications that's out there that can help with the future, the jobs that's gonna exist in the next 4 or 5 years, because we can't stop it. And so, like in some things like factory jobs, AI are gonna take control of those jobs. They don't need people to do that. Some stuff, after you look at it closely, you really don't need humans to do it, especially when it comes to the currency. So moving to another note, how you feel about the US dollar as it sit right now?
Well, you know me, I don't believe in the US dollar because it's a fiat. It's fake.
That's
I
correct.
believe in gold and silver, and that's no longer more. We're the creditors. So by us being the creditor and they being the debtors, we put ourselves in the debtors when we start registering ourselves to the government.
That is very correct, because we've been looking at many treaties, and we put Malcolm X and Martin Luther King on the table on they moves, and Martin Luther King had called us Indians, and Malcolm X had called us Aboriginal people, and that in itself is two different treaties, and Martin Luther King had buried us by this silent treaty that was signed with Indians. You know what I'm saying? And it put us back into a form of indignant slavery to this day. So BRIC has formed, and South Africa is their spokesperson, and they're saying that they don't want any more fake notes. They want gold and silver back. They want the artifacts that belong into their country back. So the thing about currency and the way you see it and how it's moving right now, what would be the best direction to go in?
Learn consumer law, learn contract law, learn commercial law. Because if you learn these laws, then you will understand that we don't owe Nothing. The government the government is supposed to take care of everything because they bankrupt themselves in 1936. So when they bankrupt themselves and then they put us as collateral when we start coming up with Social Security numbers and birth certificate, we are the creditors. So everything for us is free. So once you start understanding laws and stuff, you understand there's no such thing as currency. Cause we don't put ourselves from the sea to the land.
Right. So what's the difference between land and sea law?
Well, land law is common law. That's human law. That's God law. Sea law is maritime law. And when you're dealing with maritime law, then when you start dealing with commercial, then when you start dealing with codes, you start dealing with citation, you start dealing with the judicial system. Once you get yourself out of the judicial system from the sea and then go to the land, then you understand that we stand tall.
All right. So when you say we stand tall, uh, what's the real true meaning that lies behind standing tall?
And we'll understand that our government works for us and we don't work for our government.
So you mean to tell me that if the government is in chaos, the people have control over the government?
That was our that's in the Fourth Amendment, 14th Amendment. That's our natural born right.
So now when it comes down to the natural born rights, now how did those rights get lost? At this present day, they are lost. So how did they get lost?
When they took it out of the school system, when they start snatching the Constitution out of the school system, that's when we start losing our rights because we didn't understand what rights we have. But now that we're so much in turmoil with currency and everybody's trying to find a way to live, now some people are starting to understand your constitutional rights, and now they're understanding that I can use my signature or I can use my birth certificate that is a bond that the government has created in order for us to be traded over and over. I can use that bond to pay off anything that I want. There be certain steps. But once I get to a high level, they'll make you sign what they call a talking clause where you can't tell nobody else what's going on. Because we can fight for this money, we can't get this money, but they're not going to give you this money and offer you to go buy a car or Lamborghini or something like that. Cause see, one reason why it's so far from us because we want validation. Our culture want validation. So the other culture don't want validation. They want history. So once we understand that we want legacy and history instead of validation, that's when we'll move forward.
All right, when you now that's one of the things that we built ourselves around was forming through commercial law an organization that was a public organization, and we circled around a program called STEM. And STEM to us is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. All right. We know that in creating a virtual tech, this is something that is unheard of with our people. A virtual technical space where the devices are sent out and people just we would be using a Google Classroom to house the links and courses. K through elder. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got no age on it. This for everybody. All the need to know. Anyone that's looking to learn top technology. And this technology that I introduced is being donated to me. I get $5,000 worth of technology from Microsoft, and Google donates $10,000 a month. So the thing is, we got thousands of applications and thousands of molecules, and we have learned how automation works by just taking simple courses. And man, I probably take 10 a day. They be 3-4 minutes watching video, and you read a paragraph, you know what I'm saying, you answer 2-3 questions. And on the other end, we creating quizzes and material on the other end to be able to break it down and bring it into hoods. We want the information to get into the neighborhood because for one reason is it's a building in every project. That's a community building. And we have never utilized them. So therefore you're gonna go where the people are at. Because it's hard to get our people in buildings. You have to give away too much. And one of the things we are gonna host an event in the next 60 days, and it's gonna be a Facebook party where we're gonna bring everybody out. We're gonna have a Facebook party where we can sip and paint. And we need to get parents up under the same roof as the people who are fighting for the parents. Because you have a little small group of people fighting, but then you have a mass of people that need it fought for them. So we're gonna try to put a group of people in the room together, utilizing technology with cameras and different audios and stuff like that to show that technology is needed to be learned by our youth to create businesses. Because if they don't get in the business field and get in the commercial field, but we're gonna be still in the predicament we've been in for the last 100 years.
Okay. But see, to me, I would migrate technology and consumer law, constitutional rights, and the 14th Amendment as a free information clause to start off with. So once they understand and apply these tools, they will start understanding how much power they have if they utilize their rights. Because you will lose your rights if you don't use your rights.
Right.
I'm not real good with left wing, right wing, whatever. So they say the right wing is the Clintons and all them, and the left wing is Trump and all them. But they got to understand the right wing is trying to get rid of our Constitution, trying to get rid of our rights. They want us to under that one nation law.
Yeah. See I don't agree with any other political terminology, because at the end of the day, you and I both know it gonna always fall back down to maritime jurisdiction. And that's the only way that it can get settled. Any kind of deal, if voting is required, and then you got selected voting, and then you got racially formed systems. So we both know that if you study how the system got created, and some of it ain't never been touched. So you
Yeah,
gotta take.
yeah, everything was based off of stealing. See, I like following the rabbit hole. So I don't went so far as to understand that the rebel flag was once an Indian flag turned into hate.
Right. That see like me, I don't feel that most of the people that's in America come from no Africa. So I just
Nah,
feel that it's
it
so
was
many.
here.
They was already here, cause it's just in my heart. I just can't think and say that they came over here and it was nothing. They created everything, and I see stone heads all over the planet. I see pyramids all over North America. And then I see it's just in God law.
Yeah.
You got the Mississippi River. You know what I'm saying? Identical to the Nile. They got to run together, because one run one way and the other run the other. So you got to think that I see too many duplicates over in the east from out the west to make me say that, hey, hold on now, it's some fishy about this thing. These people went out their way to these people don't went out their way to brainwash us, man. Like really, like in realization, like these people went out their way to brainwash us. We the last of the culture of the brainwash, because we went to the field. And we did come out the field, and we don't realize that hey, I came out the field. I was the end of the field, but the next generation then go to the field, so the culture start being cultivated.
Yeah. True.
You know?
True.
So like to introduce the technology into the technology into the into the places that it normally wouldn't get to. All right, for these purposes, which we know that people have the right to choose what they want to do, how they want to do it. But for these purposes, that's why the youth is so important, not the adults, because the adults are set in their ways. So the youth is important because if you can create uh, mathematicians through the STEM program and create scientists, and we got engineered into slavery. So what make people think that we got to be engineered out of slavery also? You know what I'm saying? Cause we gonna keep, cause those people that are scared to go in them rabbit hole like yourself, they're afraid to go in them rabbit holes, and some people just afraid of what they might find out is true, because the society had been taught a certain thing, and when you say a certain thing, it's a certain aura on not liking someone that look like they self. So the first thing it got to be conditioned is the mental health mind state. The technology that I talk about is the technology that companies are built off of, that the commercial laws are written for. And because once you get out of that private sector, this is just my personal feeling. Once you get out of that private sector, you just not judged and held the same. And I would love to have your intake on that.
Well, the private sector and the public sector.
Correct.
Well, you can use both. You just gotta know. It's like what's the villain with Batman? Two-Face. So
Right.
you got to know how to play these folks' game, because guess what? They got two faces too. So
So
you got to be able to know how to use public law, and you got to be able to know how to use private law. See, private law protect all your assets. Public law will build your asset and offer you move over to your private. So you got
so
to know how to.
so if if Next Gen and Beyond INC is a holding company, and Next Gen Next Level LLC is a LLC, where should I hold my funds at?
In the holding company,
And why should I hold them in that holding company?
because it does no business.
So if you're not doing business if you're not doing business, all right, if you're not doing any type of business, what good is a company to not only me, but the growth of my family?
You turn around and have a trust to control it.
So that trust, who should be the beneficiary of that trust?
The insurance company.
So if let's just say I want to decide to borrow money on the trust, on the insurance through the trust, how should I go about doing that?
You make sure that the money that you borrowing every month against it is paying all your bills and you pay it back. But you'll still be compounding it, because you'll have death benefits added to it, and you have living benefits added to it. With a regular insurance policy, you don't have life and death benefits. So then you turn around and you use it to distribute it amongst your family members, so there will be no bickering.
So now that now let's say I got a plan for let's say I got a plan for the future. of my family, and I got a living will, and I borrow on that will for the growth of my family to buy a product that's gonna produce the money to return back into the trust. So how would I write my hairs into this?
You can't. You can't. A will. You cannot borrow money against a will. A will is.
I'm sorry.
A will is for the poor, and a trust is for the rich.
I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. Against the trust.
Okay, see, if you want to set up your trust account in order for you to borrow money, is that you will have an LLC to produce funds for that trust account. That trust account can be hold over it can own everything and have protect. Then you can use the trust to cancel out debt. That's when you start using the private law, because now when you open up a trust, now you become a creditor, and when you become a creditor, you become a living soul. Cause we in God we trust. That's on the dollar. It ain't in God that we think spiritually and trust. It's in God we trust. It's the trust account that we use because the dollar is built off a trust account. That's called a birth certificate.
So without the birth certificate, the trust ain't worth anything.
No, it's not. Because you have to authenticate your birth certificate and everything to make yourself a living person, and then you open up your trust. Now you become a creditor because so when you don't do this process, the dead can talk to the dead. So you're considered dead until you start bringing yourself out of their system. Now you become a living person. You can become what we call a soul. So the living can't talk to the dead. So now you got control over the dead because you produce life, and now you a God of God's child. You are international. You have a sovereignty. So now you stand on your rights. And once you stand on your rights and you understand that you the law, then you gain your power back.
So until you live on them laws, you can't stand on them.
You can stand on them, but you got to stand firm. But you got to understand how to pull yourself out of this system, because every time you register yourself, you giving them authority. That's
So
why it's called register. You give them consent. When you register your information, you give them consent to have authority over you. So just like you register, like you vote, your driver license, all that, now you got to pull yourself out of there. Cancel your voter registration, all that. Then open up your trust. Now you protect your asset and you become a living person.
So anything where you feel the application out of it.
Yeah, you giving them consent to be over you. That's why it's called an application and it's called a registration.
Right. So once you start pulling yourself out of this system.
Once you start pulling yourself out of the system and you start understanding your constitutional rights, your 14th Amendment and the common law and your trust law and all that, then you understand. Now you playing their game. Cause guess what it's called? Okay, listen what we're saying. When you want to learn how to play basketball, where you go to? Basketball court.
Correct.
When you want to learn how to play tennis, you go to the tennis court. When you learn how to play law, you go to the court system. So you got to know how to play by their rules.
Right. So they rules are structured.
Their rules are indoctrinated. They really don't have no rules. We have the rights. They supposed to work for us. They're called the police, policy. It's really spelled policy, police, policy. They're policy enforcers. The government is rule. The government is for the government. These are agents. They're not for us. They're for the maritime law. They're for the money. They're for, because everything is bonded. Once you
Everything.
yeah.
Now, how's everything bundled?
Would you go to a courthouse? What you gotta do? When you go to the courthouse, what you gotta do? Pay a bond, right?
Right.
That bond money distributed all through the court system. Pay the judge, pay the clerk, pay the whole agency, pay the retirement fund. So everything is bundled.
So even all these private agencies.
Everything is bundled.
All right, so now, how do you build a bond around one's own mindset and creation, and outside of the system that had entrapped most individuals?
You got to unlearn to learn.
See, because I know the process is lengthy sometimes. If you don't go about it the correct way, you'll learn from your mistakes. Up when going back through the authentication process, and so once someone started going back through the authentication process, what would be the best book that they would be a guide for them?
How to convert your status.
Now, converting the status back through the through the righteous mountain.
Hold on. My bad. I got strangled.
Don't choke. Don't choke. Don't choke.
Repeat the question.
All right, now it when it comes to status, if it was a book, what book would be a good book for someone to follow that guideline?
It'll be How to Create Your Status by David Robinson.
How to Create Your Status by David Robinson.
How to change your status.
How to change your status. So in the process of learning about changing your status, now this is one of the things that I want to slide in there with the information that you have. Now, if the right technology is added into changing the status, now the process will become more easy, and so many people won't fail, because right now I'm studying a lot of different things where they're gonna eventually pay off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it will. All right, what you would do if you're trying to implement that, you would tell them to get the 928 document.
So the 928 document is it's a IRS document, correct?
No, it's a process to bring you out of the system.
So that document alone, where would that document have to be filed at?
Secretary of State, Postmaster, and yourself.
All right, so that means I'm gonna have to mail it to my address also.
Yeah, you have to mail it to the Secretary of State, and you have to mail it to the Postmaster.
So now when you mail it to the Secretary of State, why is the Secretary of State so important when it comes to documents inside of the state and the state's constitution?
Because they're required by law to make sure everybody's right is not violated.
So now, is this constitution law or common law when we talk about being violated? Because what I'm hearing is that it's people rights being violated from birth, from the day that they mother signed that document, which is the birth certificate itself, which you have to go back through the process to authenticate and go back to the Secretary of State and buy the records to get this particular document So it seems that it was fraudulent from the beginning. And for one thing, I could argue that my mother signed something, and that is he say, she say.
Yeah, some of the information that's out there is pointing towards that your mother and your parents they signed you over as collateral. So what it is, we are as cattle. They created a straw man, that what it's called. They created a straw man through a foreign entity called the United States that's over there in Colombia. So what happened is British Columbia um use us because we don't have no trade. So we are more of prone to having children. So we're born to we were registered to start a birth certificate, so you'll be on a bond paper to be traded off and create a trust for each child so they can use that trust money on trade market to increase revenue to back up the fiat. It was a system created by the Rockefellers. They created the education system, so they created this system too.
So all right, now since you slipped the Rockefeller family into the mix, I gotta ask two questions about that particular group. Uh, I know that they got involved into the education indoctrination when it came down to they wanted more. They influenced the education system with having the education system teach for workers, no thinkers. So now in this day in society, we dealing with a society full of workers and no business owners with the ambition to retain off of a time clock to try to find another life that exists outside of the time clock. So therefore, they're not only in an illusion when it comes to work, but they also in an illusion when it comes to the matrix and the time that they feel that exists versus a clock exists. They make the time exist, and the importance of becoming a business owner is being able to reach more people with more information.
Well, the way they created the situation is they created more workers, but schools are built for babysitting and training you to live by a bell and training you to move around. So what happens is when you get indoctrinated like that, you lose your dream, but they create a path where if you're not willing to give that own foot, you're and they're gonna make it hard for some cultures. But if you're not willing to get that own foot, you're not
Now,
you you're not using the education to build your financial status because they didn't teach us about credit. They didn't teach certain people about LLC and certain kids in certain synagogues and certain institutions was teaching private institutions was teaching kids how to use these tools to better fit their life, and they kept certain tools away from certain cultures. That's why now is everybody running into it, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it wasn't saturated, but now it's getting saturated. So you got to understand how to maneuver now because everybody using the knowledge. Some people are not caught up on it. Some people are caught up on it. And the ones that are caught up on it, they're selling ebooks and stuff for it. So that's why, yeah, technology is good because you're getting it out to most people. So that's why I was saying certain things that we're using and certain things that we're talking about right now, you can have it, you know what I'm saying, projected to your certain niche, to your certain audience, and go from there.
Yeah, that was one of the things about the technology was conditioning. Cause we both know that through time we watched, and you and I came from a society that was full of indoctrination, and from the late 50s to the mid 2000s, everyone had went through Ed Clark school. So, do you think that it was a full indoctrination on mass of individuals, and why so many of us rejected it? Because a lot of us rejected it.
Well, during our Ed Clark series, I feel as though, in my opinion, it was certain stuff there, but at that time they was taking the industrial out of the school system. So that was called carpentry, woodwork, welding, all that stuff start disappearing out of the school system, the industrialized, and that's when they start pampering these kids and pampering the way we trying to live life, because the industrial system was also shutting down. And I think during that time, that when the president was outsourcing all the sewing factories and stuff across seas, that was trying to start capitalizing on what we already had. So it started hurting the ideas of becoming something that was making money, because they was starting to take it away from the generation at that time.
Right. So we went through a thing where and I know we ain't for a part, but we went through a thing where it was so many kids that they was pushing us along. It didn't matter what we scored or what kind of grade. So it pretty much, they had conditioned a bunch of people that were in company. So therefore they had no skills. So therefore they the things that were seen in the neighborhood, they started growing those type of skills. So now, is that a society problem, or was that were these people victims?
Repeat that.
I say, this is the last question. In the education of Ed Clark area, uh, it was so many people rejected it from our uh division of school, and so was this uh created process, or did this something that just happened?
Well, I think it started being a project. It started being tested. Start snatching dreams and start snatching tools that certain people were interested in. Um, Start making it hard for certain athletes to make it, or to use their skill set to make a better life. If you didn't play by the rules, then they didn't really want you part of the knowledge that they had to give, or part of the system that they feel comfortable in. Certain people got through and certain people didn't, and that because certain people didn't have access, or didn't want to go to the library, or didn't have access to knowledge of looking at the different possibilities or outcome if they took another step, or had a different mind frame, a mind change. Cause then that's when gang members start becoming popular. The movies start showing how, like, for instance, when we had an incident coming up in the high school, coming from Ed Clark, skinheads and all that.
All right, so thank you, man, for sharing the beautiful knowledge that you have gained, and for coming up on the live tonight. Man, I know you got things to do. Man, thank you for all the dedication that you gave us. Man, I'll holler at you a little later. Just I'll let you know ahead of time next time when the show starts.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah. All right, bro.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you everybody that likes, subscribe to Next Gen and Beyond the Next Level. Peace.